Hey everybody, I'm Zach and I like movies, and one of those movies I like is Beetlejuice. And since Beetlejuice, the long-awaited sequel that we all apparently really wanted, is out this week, it felt like the perfect time to for like, I don't know, the umpteenth time, go back and revisit and rewatch the classic movie about the ghost with the most, 1988's smash hit from Tim Burton, Beetlejuice. And as you can see, I am a big fan of the Big Beach. Yeah. Yeah. And mostly because this was like one of the most formative movies of my childhood. And it's really something special to catch when you're young, because I first watched this when I was maybe 10, close to 11, no older than that. And it felt like finding something that felt tailor-made for tastes that I did not yet know I had. Like maybe I don't think I had like a hardcore goth phase, but I definitely did love that, like, sort of like that, like a how like it was like very Halloween inspired sense of dark comedy, and early Tim Burton, especially with something like Beetlejuice and The Night Before Christmas too. It felt, just these like clashing aesthetics, and even often clashing tones of like playful whimsy and macabre sense of humor, and just like the dark, like this, like these dark black and white expressionistic colors, and set against these idyllic Americana suburban settings, and like especially in like Edward Scissorhands, with the like pastel colored suburban neighborhood with like the creepy Vincent Price castle up on the hill, felt perfect. But like Beetlejuice was like the first one of those I like well, Night Before Christmas was the one I first watched, but this was the one that was like it felt like something where I really took notice of the Tim Burton name. Where it's like, oh, I remember that guy from that's the Night Before Christmas guy, but like, oh, this was something special. It felt like something new. It felt like something both, new but also still cartoonish. And yeah, it really, man, I still get, even every time I see it, I still remember feeling like, wow, this still feels like something special unto itself, despite how massive it is and how beloved it is, and how kind of like co-opted into like this sort of goth kid aesthetic, of this goth kid style. It feels very if something like this came out now, it would just kind of like wave it off as like kind of like just Hot Topic coded. But man, like, but so if you somehow haven't seen it, spoiler alert, Beetlejuice is like 30 years old, whatever. Like, it's not much to spoil, honestly. But if you haven't seen it, so you have the Maitlands. This is Geena Davis and a very young Alec Baldwin. They're a married couple. They're loving the life. They're nice big house. They did so much work on it, and then they go. Then one day on their vacation, they drown. They both die. But then when they come back to their house, they don't quite yet know that they're dead, and there's this odd feeling of like there's not much. They feel different, but things haven't changed yet. And also and something that I really love about this sort of slow reveal about when they see they're dead. Not only does it like take a while, like I'd say it was somewhere in the first like 20-ish minutes before they like kind of accept that they are in fact dead. There's such a gradual like a sense of there's like, it's like time gets weird for them. Like Alec walks outside to like kind of retrace his steps, and then he like there's this like shining. Then as he steps down the steps of his house, there's like this shining light, and then he appears in this like desert of the undead, and maybe there's like a weird sand snake monster thing, but then he's pulled back out from Geena Davis, and he's been gone for like 2 hours, and in that time she realized she doesn't have they don't have reflections, and she found this book called Handbook for the Recently Deceased. Oh no, they're dead. But their undeadness is also surprisingly mundane, which I think is still something that makes Beetlejuice special in terms of like these kind of zombie like stories. You know, of undead. You know, like a spirit still. I guess yeah, Beetlejuice is technically a haunted house movie, but like the ghosts are just kind of annoyed by the new tenants. And the new tenants are the Dietzes. You have Jeffrey Jones as the dad. Yeah, Jeffrey Jones, who you remember as the principal from what's it called, Ferris Bueller, and Catherine O'Hara, also the mom from Home Alone, as Delia Dietz. But most importantly, there is Winona Ryder as Lydia Dietz. Just goth queen of the ages. Like honestly, my taste in women and characters, just it all comes back to my childhood crush of Winona Ryder. Like Lydia Dietz was the icon, and I still love how there's like she has like how funny Lydia is in terms of that, like, oh, like her parents are like just kind of dorky, like, kind of like artsy yuppies, especially Delia Dietz. Like her stepmom is like, oh, she has all this like ambitions for like art and being ahead of the curve, and what's new in the art world, like trying to impress her yuppie cool her yuppie New York friends, but like she has all this terrible sculpture art, and some of the shots of like Lydia just like in like full goth drab, complete with like the big hood and the veil over her face, which one just absolutely slain, but also it's still hilarious just how it's just over the top enough to be kind of cartoony. Even like there's a shot of her like lying in bed where she's lying just like she's posing for like a painting. And it cracks me up. But also with them is their, what is it exactly? Like Kath is Delia's, well, let's call him what he is. Her gay best friend Otho, who is played by the I always forget his name. Oh, it's the late great Glenn Shadix. Oh my god, he's so funny. His delivery is just so hilariously pretentious. He's so he's kind of like that sort of like snobbish upperclassman, like who thinks he's better than everybody, but you can also kind of tell he's completely full of shit. And he's it's so, and he also gets a lot of great laughs. But honestly, in terms of like who gets the most laughs, we'll get to him in a minute. But I really have to say Geena Davis. Every time I rewatch this, Geena Davis just gets funnier every time I see this. That is an actress who can really sell a reaction shot. Honestly, like her just like kind of bug-eyed stare there when she's like she's glaring at Delia just like, I'm gonna get her. Just cracks me up every time. But they're trying to like, then realize, we're ghosts, we can like spook them out, and they're really like kind of finding ways to like scare them, but like nothing works. Then they follow the instructions in the handbook. They draw a door, knock 3 times, and then the door opens. This green eerie light. It's very B. A lot of this very B movie horror stuff, horror lighting stuff. A lot of great use of like that kind of lighting with like just like a bold shit, just like a bold shade of this like a navy blue with like just like beams on their faces, and it looks great every time. Again, there's a lot of like Tim is like clearly pulling from like a lot of like expressionist work and a lot of like universal horror movies, a lot of B movie horrors, especially like if you're into stuff like Roger Corman stuff and Vincent Price movies, that's a lot of where he's like getting his stuff from. And he really makes it work. And my God, and like the stuff in the what was it, that like waiting room, like they walk into this waiting room with these hilariously ghoulish characters that like they really tell their own story just with their great makeup and their effects. It's like there's a lady who was like sliced in half. There's a guy. There's like just some dude with like this weird African shrunken head. All the great design, and like that dude who like he's like squashed flat with tire tread marks. He's like carried around on wires through like this where it like fits through a slit in the wall. And even a dude who's like passing by with paperwork, he's being carried around by his own noose. It's so funny. And it's even such like, again, there's more stuff. Like they have like a caseworker for, there's such like hilarious mundanity to them being dead. Like they have a case, like them being dead is like treated with the same amount of mundanity as you would if you were like getting some real estate to go in. Like they have a caseworker. By the way, it's also great. She looks kind of this old. She's kind of this old lady, kind of like Cloris Leachman almost. It's not Cloris Leachman actually. It's what was her name? I have it written down. It was it's Sylvia Sidney. And Sylvia Sidney, she's funny, and she's constantly smoking this cigarette, and the smoke is coming out of her slit throat. Again, like great details like that. They tell you a lot about the character and just like have a lot of fun with them too. But she advises them not at all to seek the help of one Beetlejuice. But the Maitlands do anyway. They get teleported into Alec's like town, model of their town, and they dig up and summon out Beetlejuice, and he's played by Michael Keaton, and my God, is he played by Michael Keaton? Like, God, what? Like, rewatching Beetlejuice, one of the first things that might hit you is that Michael Keaton is sparingly used in this movie. This movie is a pretty tight 90, close to 90, like 88 minutes or something like that. There's hardly an ounce of filler in it. But Michael Keaton is in less than 20 minutes of that. But when he's in it, my God, he just fills up the entire screen and then some. He's just bound. He's like this big, rude, crude, coked up stand-up comic. But he also has like zombie ghost powers, which is these zombie powers that. But he's also like super. He also has like inexplicably powerful. Like he's kind of like the genie from Aladdin, which honestly, like thinking it over, is kind of how he works in the cartoon. Which, just as a side note, I always pity the kids who like watched the cartoon first and then watched the movie and was like, wait, why aren't Lydia and Beetlejuice friends? But anyway, like Michael Keaton in this whole wow, like he's so. He's the kind of over the top. He's so over the top. It's not over the top. It's just the right amount of over the top. He is cartoonish, and he is big and loud and brash and just kind of like just making riffs at a mile a minute. But it's all very precise. You could tell that there's a lot of focus and attention to not just his body, not just how he jerks and like just spazzes around and just acts a fool of himself. But there's such like control and like preciseness in like how in his delivery too. Ooh, like that great bit where he like where he's asked like, what are your qualifications? He's like, and it like starts off slow. Like starts off slow, like it starts off soft, like oh, I attended Juilliard. I was a graduate of Harvard school, and he like and he like gradually gets more manic, and it's very hard to do that very smoothly, and he does it perfectly. Like, and it's it's hard to kind of it's almost hard to comprehend. Like yeah, he is kind of not in it. He's not in it a lot, but every time he's in it, he feels like he feels so much larger. He's like he's like taking up so much scenery. He's like getting into the flooring too. And another thing you might recognize, that I certainly recognize this time around, is that this movie is kind of a mess. like in terms of like the structure of things. Like this is not a really cohesive movie in the sense that none of the like cohesiveness, like the concepts or ideas of the afterlife have like a solid foundation, or like there's hardly even so much of like an arc with like the Maitlands. There's something of an arc with Lydia, but also like there's but also kind of no, it feels like kind of like, and like again structurally it feels like kind of like a string of sketches, and like where one might happen, but then like it doesn't quite land, but then there's be another one immediately after that, and there's also this, and then there's like there is like some stakes, because like at the end, like Beetlejuice makes a deal with Lydia, like I gotta if I want, like I gotta get married, and then there's like he's like this creepy old guy who's gonna marry her, and then it's like, yeah, there's suspense there, because you don't want to be married to Beetlejuice. That's gross and all that. But like there's not much like in terms of, like there's some like suggestive world building in like the undead stuff. But again, like it's not like a clear, like I could clearly see a lot of people like, again, if a movie like this was made today, then it probably would be like picked apart and like, hey, there's not a lot that makes sense here, but also it is the kind of thing that's like so simple and just so effective nonetheless, that yeah, it does make sense that this spawned stuff like a cartoon and a Broadway musical, which is also really good. But yeah, and I was really shocked how like just kind of patchworked it all is, but it kind of is Frankenstein. It does work like a Frankenstein monster, where yeah, there's like parts that don't like all fit, that probably don't all fit together, but they work nonetheless. They all like form this like misshapen, hilarious, and very iconic creature that is the Beetlejuice franchise, I should say. And yeah, it's I don't even know if I can like I don't even know if there's like anything I can really complain about. Like even if there are like, quibbles about like, like, hey, some of these parts don't make sense. It's not like, again, there's not like art. It's not like a deep movie. It's not really like, there's not a lot to it by way of like emotion and stuff, but it still works. And honestly, it's kind of a magic trick that it still works. Like, and I think it works largely because of the characters and the actors playing them. There's such fun ideas and fun bits, like the bit, the dance scene, the dinner dance scene of with the Harry Belafonte song, and just like, again, like a lot of the great designs that are cartoony and bold and so over the top, and it's so fun and playful. I think that's something that's so that is important with really the best of Tim Burton. There's a sense of fun and playfulness that could be kind of kitschy, but like, not that they know that it's kitschy, but they embrace, but they have so much fun with what they are, and I think that is what really is still enduring about the original Beetlejuice, is that it's just so fun. It's so having a ball, and it's still entertaining. I've seen this too many times. This matters too much to me to like even like, I don't know, even quantify it with a number. Like, what's, it's it's just I can't get enough of this. It's just, it will never tire. I watch it I watch it every year for Halloween. But also, I'm a little surprised that this came out in September instead of October. But like, maybe wanted to like, get ahead of, like, I don't know, like we want to make sure the sequel is a hit when we have, like, we're probably going to be up against like a Joker or something else. I don't know. Oh, but yeah, I'm optimistic for Beetlejuice. I've been hearing good things. Some early reviews have been good, and low key kind of hoping that it does well enough that we can finally make Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian a thing. Which, by the way, not saying it would work now, but just kind of always a fun idea that, like, hey, maybe it could have worked. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's it. I feel like it's kind of like, just say the name Beetlejuice. It's, if you don't know what Beetlejuice is, I don't know how you clicked on me to tell you about it. It's, it's kind of one of those. It's a classic. It's an essential for me. Really, one of the essentials. But yeah, it's so fun. It's so playful. It's dark, but not in a way that's like, standoffish. This is the kind of, like, I guess you could call it like kind of is like a horror comedy for kids. This is kind of like, well, watch this and then watch Evil Dead 2 and then, like, kind of you're on your way from there. So it's classic movie. Michael Keaton, it's wonderful. Winona Ryder, a woman after my own heart, even to this day. Love her. Love Lydia. Can't wait. I'm optimistic about the sequel, and that's Beetlejuice. And Beetlejuice. And that's it. I'm Zach. I like Beetlejuice. I hope you like Beetlejuice, and I hope you tell all your friends to watch Beetlejuice. And I will see you all later.